Well, what does the future look like for countries across the globe? I don't know. Let's find out. Is it going to be bleak, or are people actually committing to preserving this planet?
Yeah, and I like MIT Insights have a report, a white paper, and they've actually have data visualization on it, on the Green Future Index, they call it.
Yeah. And here's the idea of this index, is that even though a country may be low income, middle income, upper middle, or a high income country, how invested are you in the future?
Yes.
The future of clean energy, industry, agriculture, in your society around renewables, innovation, and green finance. Is that a focus of yours? And what's interesting about this is we find that even low-income countries, this is a big focus for them.
Yes.
And they're ranking higher than countries that have way more income.
Like Saudi Arabia probably has the most income, is like 76.
Which is a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke. And so that's what's really interesting about this index here, the Green Future Index that MIT Technology Review put together with their partners of Salesforce, Citrix, and Morgan Stanley.
Yeah, and whenever you look at, because I kind of want to get into it a little bit, whenever you look at it as far as tackling the global climate, and this is a word they use, and I love it, and we at TARTLE use this too. They said a global climate emergency.
It is an emergency. We've been stating that it's a damn emergency. 50 years left, 70 years left
Yes.
before the oceans rise too high, before the carbon dioxide is just too strenuous on the entire system, before we start blowing up more limestone on the earth and releasing more of that carbon dioxide that's been trapped in there into the sky so that it sits around for 7 to 10 years.
Well, the beautiful part is your generation and younger Alex are saying this is the number one issue that we need to face.
It's
more than anything.
For every human being, for every plant, animal, things that fly, crawl, it doesn't matter what it is. It's extremely important. If you want to have a future, you need to focus on it.
Right. And they talk about these natural disasters, whether we have the floods, the storms, how it's affecting, livelihoods and devastating lives. And it goes into, in 2019, we generated losses of around $140 billion.
Yeah.
Just based off of what is happening in our climate.
We've destroyed about 38% of the world's climate ecosystem. 38%. So essentially 38% of what we've taken from Earth is now irreversible.
Yes.
That's sad. Hands down. And it's pathetic that we haven't just smartened up about our house. We're just crippling the foundation of our home, and it's just going to topple on top of us.
Yeah, because you can worry about ROI you want and shareholder value, but if you don't have a house to live in.
What ROI are you going to have? You're not measuring anything. You're measuring lifespan at that point.
Yes.
And so, what's cool about this? Even under carbon emissions, right, of the 76 countries that were in here in this report, the Ukraine is number one for dealing with carbon emissions and their investment into it, and they are a lower middle income country.
Yes. Good job,
Dude,
Ukraine.
You ready for this? Angola in sub-Saharan Africa, 6th. I don't even know where's the United States. This is a joke. I don't even see the United States on this list.
Yeah, they call them climate laggard.
United States is 53rd. There's no correlation, and we've seen this before. There's no correlation between income and happiness.
Yes.
Correlation between health and income. Or, apparently here, having a bunch of income and actually trying to preserve the planet. To me, it looks like all these high-income people are very happy destroying the planet.
Yeah, Japan 60th.
That is ridiculous.
But how do they do this? How do they rank these 76 leading nations and territories based on, one is their progress and commitment towards building a low-carbon future.
Right.
Taking into account efforts to curb emissions made in recent years, as well as renewed policy commitments towards carbon neutrality.
Yep.
And the degree to which pandemic recovery packages are targeting green industries.
Yeah, so they're looking at, are the social groups investing themselves in changing this?
Right.
Is the government investing itself in incentivizing people to change this? And is industry investing in these changes? That's what they need to look at.
Yeah, and the index consolidates scores for each country across 5 pillars. And I love these 5 pillars. Number 1 is carbon emissions.
Yep.
Number 2 is energy transition, which I think energy transition is important because this is the 4th industrial revolution World Economic Forum talks about.
Yes.
And that transition from
coal,
you're right,
burning anaerobic things, which is completely absurd, and then transitioning to something where we're not burning anaerobics. It's generated freely, sunlight, wind, hydro, all that stuff.
And then we look at green society,
Mm-hmm.
how the society's green in and of itself. And then we look at clean innovation,
Yeah.
which is a lot of technology today. And then we look at climate policy. And these are the key findings, and we'll go over these, and then I encourage everybody to look at this report. But Europe provides 15 of the top 20 countries in the index.
Yeah.
And first place, guess who first place is? Shout out to Iceland.
Iceland's killing it.
Yeah.
Think about all their geothermal centers,
Mm-hmm.
their recycling habits.
Yes.
They see a future in engineering solutions.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't doing that.
No.
Dude, look at for energy transition, number one, for people trying to transition off of, burning peat and coal and oil,
Right.
Ethiopia, numero uno, totally low income country, 100%.
And we're in the United States. We sit here in the United States and think we're doing so well.
Yeah.
When we're actually these other countries that we would think in our imperialism put them down.
Dude,
they're doing a much better job than we are.
think about the CO2 emission on homes that are heated by oil. Think about all the oil burning heat in homes.
Yes.
Ridiculously inefficient. Where's that stuff going? Where's the release? It's just going up in the atmosphere.
Yes.
So many homes are still using that. People go in every single day. All those cold climate homes, all those old homes in Massachusetts, big old heat burning, cold
Right.
burning, whatever. I mean, oil burning homes. You got
Right.
a big old oil furnace
Yes.
down there. The things weigh a metric ton. They're a pain to service, and you got a packet full of oil all day long.
Yeah, and Iceland also was number one. I mean, they were number one total, but they were number one in carbon capture technology. And I think this is really important because we don't even think about this.
This is cool
capturing the
technology.
carbon.
So not only the fact is that the carbon going in the atmosphere, it's like, how do we take that and actually put it back into limestone?
Right.
Put it back into other volcanic areas so it can be trapped in a molten sense in that rock so it doesn't get released. That's important stuff to look at. Oh, it's also extremely cost effective to do it.
Yeah, and Norway, which is third, is striving to decouple its economic, prosperity from fossil fuels. So it wants to
Norway's
decouple. Think about that.
I gotta-
Decouple. It's spacecraft.
Norway has this enormous economy around these oil rigs.
Yes. Yeah.
Huge.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And I think I forget what the company is that manages a majority of those financial assets around that oil. Like, that's going to be tough for them to do that. A huge part of the value of that economic value of that country is coming from that oil production, those offshore assets.
Yeah. And you look at Costa Rica, they're seventh.
I know.
I mean, how badass is that? Or you look at
You know where it starts, though?
Uruguay is 20th.
You know where it all starts, Jason?
What?
Mindset.
Yes.
We can go through this list all day long. Do you care enough? Do you care enough to do it? That's what's important. But the people in these countries need to say, it matters to us.
Right.
Their culture needs to scream at the top of their lungs and say, this matters to us. We need to do this right now. And if you don't feel like going outside screaming on a soapbox, put the information in the data packet.
Yes. And
Yeah.
how do you do that? And I want to shout out to India.
Yeah.
Because India is 21st. We're 40th. India is 21st.
And they have 1 billion people.
I know. Think about
We have
that.
300 million plus.
So how do we take the responsibility of climate stability and how do we put that through the filter of us being responsible into TARTLE?
Everything you do, your thoughts, behaviors, actions, emotions, those are captured and recorded. And if you put those into a data packet on TARTLE, it allows these thoughts, to be shared to people that want to research and analyze this to find and engineer those solutions. But if you keep that stuff to yourself, if you don't share it, if you don't talk about what's of value to you, what's important, you're doing a disservice to yourself, your children, future generations, and the rest of the world. We need to be truthful in how we share. If we do not do that, if we're not truthful and transparent with one another, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. We're sitting around in a burning house waiting for it to fall on top of us. We need to wake up and say, this is important to us. My data is important to me. My world is important to me. Human life is important to me. Prove it.
Yeah, and so if these countries, these not-for-profits, these buyers of data, how can cities, countries, municipalities, and how can not-for-profits, how can they be a part of TARTLE?
Well, this is great. So if say you're a not-for-profit, do you need some visibility? Do you need some support from people that have resources? The whole world is willing to support you on TARTLE. We're in 196 countries. come to us and say, I want to list my not-for-profit or charitable organization on TARTLE. We need funds to continue this sort of climate research. People will be able to see that. They can donate to you directly. Talk about an index of not-for-profits for everyone to go to and donate earnings from their data towards that. And if you're a business that needs insight, if you're a government that needs insight, if you're a research institution at a university that needs insight, go on TARTLE, sign up for free, find out what data you want, and then go get it. Buy it from people. Get your answers and economically uplift those that need to be uplifted.